swing for everybody that I know. Feeling lost in the world, we don't know which way to go. I hope when I die, God have mercy on my soul.
That you're either too old or could be too old to follow your dreams. Is it too late?
I think it can be too late if you have unrealistic dreams.
Right.
Or should I say goals? Because dreams are dreams. You know, you can dream anything.
Yeah.
But if you got unrealistic dreams or goals or whatever, then yeah, there's a certain age. I mean, because you just think about if you want to be a professional athlete, NBA player, NFL player, MLB.
Somebody
You can't be
30s,
50,
sure.
you know what I'm saying, 50 years old and you want to try to get into the NBA. You know what I'm saying? That's unrealistic.
What I think too is a lot of people, at least for myself, and I remember hearing some stories of a lot of entrepreneurs, and something I hear quite a bit is like most of them didn't really do very well until they hit late 30s, 40s, 50s, even going into their 60s. And I'm not for sure why that always happens, but I'm kind of guessing like maturity, experience, life. But it seems like some of the people that really make it big and make a lot of money through an idea, a dream, or something they have, it's not early on.
No, because failure, man, that's the main thing. Failure is the best teacher. Failure is the stepping stone to success.
So do you think it's failure that causes people to build up over time and to understand? Because when we're young, we fail. It's just like, that's not going to work, right?
Yeah.
But as we get older, it's kind of like, nah, it may have failed, but I think it's a small thing that's changed.
Yeah. It's because you start analyzing the reasons why you failed. Like you said, when you're young, you just be like, on to the next thing. You know what I'm saying? That's not it for me or whatever. But then as you get older, you start realizing, damn, okay, I failed, but I only failed because this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying?
Because of these factors.
Yeah.
What would you tell your younger self? Let's just say you were 21, right? And you kind of, because I can admit I was very irresponsible, but I remember. But if you could go back and tell your 20-year-old self, 21-year-old self, because I know what kind of position I was in, right? Didn't make a lot of responsible decisions, just really wasn't prepared to do anything that would allow me to fail. What is something, even though you knowing that failure is something that maybe holds us back at that age, what would you tell yourself now to counteract that?
I would say, believe it or not, I would say keep failing. Because if you keep failing, that means you keep trying. And like I said, it's a teacher. Like, you know, you always hear the saying, man, if I knew then what I know now, you know, true. But to know what you know now, you had to do what you did then. You see what I'm saying?
You don't know without going through it.
You don't know without going through it. And it's like, yeah, you can give knowledge. You can get secondhand knowledge from other people, whether it be your parents, you know, older people, your friends or whatever. But a lot of times, man, experience is the best teacher. You have to go through it. You know what I'm saying? So I would really just say, I mean, there's a few things I would say that I could have changed. I would say get to it. Stop lollygagging. Because my thing, I've always been an overthinker, you know what I'm saying, my whole life. And it's like sometimes you think you want to do something, but you may not really know how to go about doing it. And then you just start thinking and you get in your own head.
Start questioning yourself, sure.
And then you just keep prolonging and you don't do it and you don't do it and you don't do it. So my thing, that's why I would say keep failing, because that means you're trying, you're doing.
Right.
So you got to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I'll tell you, failing now for me, it's not a fear. Before it felt like with failure that was the end, right? And that was something that was scary, because when something ends, especially a dream, kind of heartbreaking, right? It's kind of crushing. And I think a lot of the times that, you know, it is the fear of failing and thinking that that's the end. That's what I would tell myself. Failing is not the end.
Not.
You know, but if you think it's the end, then it is the end. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So it's like literally just telling yourself, right?
Yep.
You can either think you're going to fail or think you're not. But failing is not the end. Fearing failure is fearing success.
Man.
Because even success people feel, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't fear the failure.
Yep. And there's no, like you said, there's no success story. This is what we like. You know what I'm saying? We love to hear about, to read, to watch the success story. there's no story, no success story without failure. That's what makes the success story so great, because when you hear whether it's Tyler Perry, man, I had to sleep in my car, I was homeless, and all these stories, all these people that have made it to become millionaires or billionaires or whatever, it's boring if you just say, you know, and that's why people respect what you would call, which nobody's really self-made, but you know what I mean. People respect the self-made millionaire or billionaire, not the kid that it was given to you by your grandfather or your father, but the person that went out there and what you would call, I guess, a first generation millionaire.
Made it for themselves.
You made it for themselves. It's something about that we all love, because we know how hard it is. You know, every person out here that's working a job, that's trying to be an entrepreneur, that's out here trying, you know how hard it is to have any level of success.
Yeah.
So when you see people that reach that ultimate level of success of being a millionaire or a billionaire, or it don't even have to be that level, but just being successful enough to inspire others, where you say, where a person say, damn, I respect that man, I respect that woman, like they came up, you know what I'm saying? We know how hard it is. So yeah, like you said, that failure is, however you just said it, it was dope. If failure is success in a way, you know what I'm saying? Because you can't have, they go hand in hand.
I've never met anybody who's been like a success that doesn't have like stories of failure. Not one. You know, nobody wants to hear, I mean, people want to hear the success of it, but they also, because, you know, most of us, we struggle, right?
Yep.
We struggle with life and family, dreams, the day job that takes away from our dreams. We struggle with all these things. We just want to know other successful people struggled with the same thing.
Yeah.
And we
Because
do.
it gives you hope. It
It
gives
does.
you hope. If there's hope for everybody when somebody, especially if it's somebody that comes from a similar circumstance to you. If their story has any parallels in your story, you know what I'm saying? It makes you be like, damn, okay.
Relatable.
Because people, you know, like you said, people be ready to give up. And a lot of times you might be like, man, this just ain't going to work for me, you know? But then you might be 40 years old, and then you hear, oh man, such and such didn't become who he was until he was 50 years old. Then it gives you hope. Like, well, damn, I got another 10 years then.
Yep.
It's not the impossible. It has been done.
Or does somebody say, I only have 10 years left, there's not enough time?
Right.
So it's like, and I think it's the mentality of just knowing what you want. And that's where, you know, we talk about this podcast. You know, this wasn't a strictly business move. This was something that you and I wanted to do, and we moved on. And it's something we've talked about for a long time. But we got tired of talking, and we thought, look, man, if we just do it, creating without expectations, if it flops, it flops. Who cares?
Yep.
You know, more than anything, we could look back and be like, dude, remember that conversation we had? It's memories. It's the same thing we talked about, like with a video camera. And I believe that people literally will allow themselves to stop. By the way, that's my dog barking. If we decide to put that in the podcast, that's why we took a break. She is a lovely dog, but she has a big voice.
Keep going. Keep going.
But keep going.
We're going to leave it in there too.
That's right. We don't care. Because why? Because we create without expectations. I seen a video the other day, and they were talking about what is success. And this is real. I guess is where I kind of stepped back and I said, dude, I think I've been doing it for the wrong reason. Success is usually in the same hand as money, right? You can't be successful without money. That's kind of the way society teaches us.
Yeah.
I found that it's so far away from the truth.
It is.
Success, at least for me, for my business, somebody says, are you successful? And I go, I get to work around my own schedule. I get to work with the clients that I want to work with. Are there good times and bad times? Of course, like a roller coaster. You can't have fun on a roller coaster without being scared, being anxious, thinking that you're going to fly off the tracks, right? Same thing with life. You're like, well, I just want a clear path. There is no clear path to success. And when you and I talk about doing things and seeing things come to life, man, at least try. If you fail, nobody can take away the fact that you tried, right? Which is like 100 times more than what most people do. If we wouldn't have done this, we'd have been the statistic. Right? It'd have been us. We talked about it, but never did it.
And that's the success right there. The success is in the failure. Because like you said, if you tried, you doing more than half the people that are scared to try. Like I said, I've been on both sides of that. I've been that person that has just have literally talked myself out of doing things that I know I wanted to do, things that I wanted to pursue. I talked myself out of doing it. And then we doing something like this right now and there's other things that I've done in my life that I did just go through with it. It's a risk, it's a gamble. And I think really real for the most part, people respect the risk takers in life.
And the doers.
Yeah. All that talking, man, it's just talking. You know what I'm saying? Anybody can talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong, you could talk your way into millions. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you got the gift for gab, you could do it. But at the same time, eventually, people, if you just talking and you ain't really about what you talking about, people start seeing through that and be like, man, okay, he's a fraud or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, he don't even stand on what he don't practice what he's preaching or stand on business.
He don't even stand on his own business.
Yeah.
Let alone anybody's business.
Right. Exactly. So it's like, man, but when they see, you know, like, and that's why I told you to just leave that in there. You know what I'm saying? With the dog barking and all that, because we standing on business, man. We giving it to y'all raw. This is us. You know what I'm saying? This ain't, sometimes it's going to be super clean. It's going to be smooth. And then sometimes you might hear a dog barking. You might hear a phone go off or something like, you know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But we real people that live real lives just like the people, just like y'all that's viewing this. You know what I'm saying?
We're not trying to perfect anything, right?
Yeah.
And the success of this, and kind of like you said with the failure and success, right? Like, it's almost like salt and pepper, right? Like, there's no way just to either want one or the other. It's something that, to me, it's, you know, the failure is kind of the sweetest part of learning. It's like, I think it's the greatest, like, lesson to learn. Because without experiencing it, you feel the pain, the disappointment, the bad choices. You feel all that, right? And you're like, this sucks, man. This is terrible. You are so deep into your mind at that point that I think you're reaching beyond the percentage that we kind of use our brains, because we're depicting our own decisions that are not based on somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't look at a failure as something that's hurting you. It is literally something that is putting pieces of a puzzle together. But if you only fail once or twice, you have a very small piece of, like, a very small puzzle, and you're still missing pieces, right? That's, to me, it's like the failure of starting here was, I remember when I had to go back to work. So running this business, there was a time when things got, like, really bad. Talk about feeling like failure.
Yeah.
When you've succeeded working for yourself for, I think it was over a year and a half, fell on hard times, man. And I remember going, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I even talked to people and was like, dude, I feel like shit, man.
And the thing is, what makes it worse is you knew there was some people, some haters. Like, look at him. I got to go back to work.
I knew it.
Mr. Entrepreneur. That shit ain't work. And that's and in that moment, like you said, it sucks. So while we talking about failure and success going hand in hand, in the moment when you're failing, you don't want to hear that shit. It sucks. You really do feel like giving up. You feel embarrassment. You feel a lot of that.
Oh, so rough.
But when you look, you know, years later, that's why they call it the beautiful struggle. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people say ain't nothing beautiful about struggling. No, it is, but you got to come out on the other side of the struggle to see.
You have to keep struggling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you end it there, that's your dream.
Yeah.
Your dream ended in failure.
Yep.
That's the way you want to go out?
Yeah.
I'd rather go out at least having a little bit of success, right? And that's where kind of the story I was telling you about. And I went to work for a company making really good money. I lasted, I think I said 3 days. I think it was only 2 days.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was 10 hours a day or something. And every moment of that day, all I thought about was how my business was going to continue to fail if I wasn't there for it. And it was already failed. Is it? I may have failed, but it doesn't mean the entire dream has failed, right? You know, it's almost like, hey, that waiter or waitress was terrible at that restaurant. I'm never going back. You punish the whole establishment for one waitress or waiter. You're going to throw your entire dream away for one failure.
Yeah.
You know,
regroup. Get
man.
back together. You know what I'm saying?
There's just too many people that are willing just to cut it off and just stop. Now, I am a firm believer that if you beat your head on the wall long enough and it starts to hurt, stopping is a good idea. Right?
Real talk. Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
But
that's true.
You know, but it's understanding.
But you do have to know, you know, you got to do something long enough to know whether you good or
give it a chance.
Yeah, good enough at it or not. Some people, like you said, just quit. Like, you know, if I go to ride a bike for the first time and I fall and I say, oh man, hell no, this ain't for me. it's not that it's not for me. I didn't even give it a chance. I didn't take a chance to learn. You know what I'm saying? Now, if I've been riding a bike for a year, you know what I'm saying, and I'm still falling and I can't ride good, then then you can, make that decision to say, man, riding bikes just ain't for me. You know what I'm saying?
And it's okay because, well, I'll tell you something I'm terrible at. Absolutely terrible. I've tried so many times. I cannot ski, water ski or snow ski, because my feet don't work well apart. Right? Like dancing and stuff, like that's fine. But when my feet have to do different things, man, you put me on a snowboard, on a skateboard, there's some things we're going to be good at. But that's the failure part, is we learn what we're good at. If I can't swim, I don't go into the Olympics trying to be a professional swimmer.
Right.
Well, you failed. I knew I was going to fail. I couldn't swim. And I think too many people they overlook that. It's almost like me saying, oh, I could be a sumo wrestler. No, the freak I can't, right? Like, could you see me go up against a 400 or 500, 600 pounds? What kind of chance would I stand?
Right.
Right? So it's kind of knowing your strengths, your weaknesses, and not setting yourself up for failure, but letting failure happen.
And that's why I said initially, if you have unrealistic goals and dreams,
expectations,
then man, you can't be too old. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, come on now. And I feel like that's a fool. We're supposed to get smarter, get wiser, the older you get. So if you're like older and you don't realize what you're good at and what you're not good at, what you should be pursuing and what you shouldn't be pursuing, that means you wasted a lot of your youthful years not failing enough because
not
you didn't try enough. You didn't try enough things to know, like you said, what you're good at and what you're not good at. Eventually you should get to that point, and then sometimes there is a flip side of that where you might, a light bulb might go off at 50, 60 years old and you want to try something different that you never tried. Something might inspire you to try something, and that's fine. I say go for it. I'm definitely not a Debbie Downer, a person that's gonna ever be like, you shouldn't do this or shouldn't do that. But if you can't expect people to support you, and if people look at you like you kind of weird for trying something that that it's like, nah, it's not gonna work at this age. Like I'm 37 years old, and me having an expectation of being the next Drake or this big global artist, I feel like, man, if you're 37 years old and that hadn't happened, it's a good chance that's not going to happen. And you should be okay with that. Yeah. But I feel like, now me just rapping in general, I don't think you have to give up rapping, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you're good at it, So I just feel like, man, whatever you want to do, go for it. Just have a realistic expectation and chase it and do the best that you can, and then live with the results.
Understanding failure is building you. Yeah. Right? It's never tearing down. Tearing down, to me, is just never starting.
Fearing failure is fearing success. That's the best way to put it. You said that earlier, and that's real.
I don't fear success. Do you fear success?
Hell no.
Then why should we fear failure?
Let's get it.
So motivate my soul. Keep swinging. Swing for everybody that I know. Feeling lost in the world, we don't know which way to go. I hope when I die, God have mercy on my soul. I'ma praise the Most High even when I'm